know how to read? Now, reaction here. You know what? You're right. You're right. You know. And it's important for me to have a good relationship with you because, you know, I was wrong. I was wrong in this case. We need to be able to trust each other. I apologize. Conflict, you stop that momentum where they're coming at you. This is how we train customer service. And this is what I do with parents. So first, listen. Then clarify that you understand. And don't just say, I understand. Everybody understands. Nobody can help. I understand. I understand. It drives me crazy. Instead, say what they said and say, did I understand you correctly? Okay, good. And then use one of those reversing momentum strategies, and only after that offer solutions. These strategies aren't just relegated to one industry, to one group of people. These are broadly defined communication skills that are adaptable to many situations. I was observing class, and they were talking about rap music, and he said, violence in music isn't bad because it satisfies the human desire for violence. And how he said that sounded threatening. We need to be able to understand how other people perceive. So we started to work on, okay, you can be passive-aggressive if you like, but you have to understand when people are being passive-aggressive towards you. So we started working on non-confidence.
You can use your book. And when switching on the projector, they usually waste time. Because it takes time to switch it on, then it disconnects, and you don't have internet access, And sometimes teachers have descriptive lessons, which means they talk about rules, but they don't give a lot of practice. What can you or I do to make sure that we're good professionals and that we have strong lesson aims and strong classroom management? There are quite a few things you can do with your continuous professional development. First, go through SPELTA. Second, get an ICELT. It's out of the market now, but if you have it, you still have your skills. Thirdly, go through Trinity. In Russia or outside. What you should not do, or what you might want to do, but which doesn't help much in real life, from my experience and from my position. First, online certification doesn't help much, because it gives you information, but it doesn't develop your skills. It doesn't work with your skills. Neither Russian programs. Usually it's in Russian, and usually it's about informing teachers, not about building their skills and their abilities. And finally, conferences. You can get a kick out of conference, you can enjoy your conference, but will it develop your teaching skills? Not really. Take them to a museum, or show them a movie, or have an extracurricular event. Christmas party. And they should be doing this just on their own, without administration giving them too much pressure. And finally, be ready to adapt. Sometimes you need to substitute classes, and if you're not ready, probably you cannot fit in this organization. Messy resume. I never called back this person. Too much information. It's unclear. All his life stories are on this piece of paper. I don't want to hear his life story. I want to see how his life story correlates to know this as kruzhok. And finally, she can run events, a French-speaking day or some French-speaking activity. Nice resumes save a lot of time for all of us. I think we should stop talking about recruiters now. I will put on my teacher's hat, and I'll be talking about teacher's perspective. So if you are a recruiter, I think we should be also a bit careful with who you hire and why you hire. Good teachers, they think that time is money. And good teachers, like you and I, we believe that we need clarity in our teaching context. And finally, good teachers, like you and I, we want to teach. We really value this classroom experience. Time is money. It's quite simple. Good teachers can always find a job. So if you're looking for a teacher, you should be offering something to these teachers. Good teachers value results. So it's not about wasting time or just spending time with kids. We are goal-oriented. We want clear results, clear aims, and we want to go through tutors, managers. Let teachers teach. Make teachers feel comfortable. Make sure they have enough space in the teacher's room, for example, and ease paperwork. I know this sounds a bit ironic in this country, but something should be done. So bridging this gap, listening to each other, and I think that no matter what we do, life is much easier when we see each other, talk to each other, and hear each other. Thank you very much. Program. Yeah. Before I go, I would like to spend 1 more minute talking about something very important. And this will be my, Katya, is my presentation still on? Thank you. Okay, with a little postscriptum. Do you know who this person is?
Yeah.
What's his job?
Comedian.
Yes. Some people say future is now. Is it? You've seen this book, you know that it has a green cover. I think changes should be made in a few ways, and they are on the way. They actually are, because right now, quite a few good things are happening. We have lots of groups. We have Irina's group, we have Marina's calendar, we have Paulina's fantastic group, we have lots of concerts, private conferences. We have a lot of online teaching, mobile teaching, we have Skype teaching, it's all there. But what I want to tell you now, we all make decisions. We all make decisions on everyday basis in our classrooms and as managers. When choosing a book, when choosing material, when choosing your style of teaching, come closer to the new. Forget about old.
What cannot be changed. Give us courage to change what should be changed, and give us the wisdom to distinguish one from another. So I would say that Cambridge Assessment Group is really courageous enough to introduce changes. It is really wise enough to distinguish between what has to be changed and what has to be stable. Cambridge Assessment Group on enriching the range of tasks and probably shifting a focus to a desired thing. Now, we can definitely see that all revision processes, they imply certain stages. So to begin with, there is the stage of data collection, when extensive market research is done and everybody engaged in revision tries to understand what the market situation is all about and what has to be done in order to improve exams. Then it's important to develop English language skills in a stress-free and motivating way. And finally, it is of utmost importance to provide child-friendly, fun tasks that learners probably do, and that will be a very pleasant introduction to exams which they are going to take later on in their lives. So, young learners' examinations. It all started in 2014 when extensive market research was done. After that, there was the stage of developing test specifications and trialing to incorporate evolving approaches to curriculum design, pedagogy and assessment for young learners. And it is important to position young learners more closely with key, preliminary and post. So talking about the approaches which test designers rely on. Now talking specifically about the changes, we can say that, for example, in starters examination, in part number 1, learners have to draw lines between names of people and images in the picture. So previously, they drew lines between objects and images in the picture. The rationale behind the names of characters are given here, just one name, because Fred is the central character in this story. Now, let's say a couple of words about revision, which the probably result of which preparation process. So first, market research. Then just this stage of writing specification in the reading and writing section, part 7. So now candidates have to write a story. They have to be able to describe, to express their opinions, to agree and disagree. So what I mean, we acting, and the sample is really much richer. So again, there is a new element because now preliminary candidates are just offered to write either an article.
Experience. Actually, you remember that at the opening plenary on Wednesday, practically all the speakers, presenters were talking about the necessity to launch new ESL projects or to share the results of the ongoing ones in MOOC learning teaching. I also wanted to play Kahoot game with you, but I think that it will be too just time consuming. So we're going to use traditional way of voting, yeah? Just raise your hands, who? Have a taken a MOOC? Great, okay. Have ever completed a MOOC? Have ever completed a MOOC with a certificate? Doesn't matter what kind of certificate. Not so very many people. Have ever integrated MOOC materials in your course? Still very many. Great. Probably it's high time to go out and sightsee. So have ever created a MOOC? Two of you. Great. So a pretty experience is great. So this is the definition, kind of common definition, what MOOC is. The key words here, if you just read attentively this definition, about the advantages of this kind of learning. We called it a new pedagogical phenomenon. Katya? Just 3 minutes. And that was the opening of his speech. Technology sometimes let us down. Difficult? The in-chief of top-ranking journal, probably you know, which is called LLT, Language Learning and Technology. He said, MOOCs seem likely to be more than a passing fad, but they are also likely to evolve in a variety of ways in the future. Is pedagogical potential of MOOCs, or how can MOOCs be used in traditional classroom, in traditional language classroom? So there are different opportunities. First and foremost, this opportunity, this potential is very important. It helps us, that's what was Philip Warwick talking about, yeah? To create authentic educational environment, to develop various kinds of skills, communicative, digital, professional, forum discussions, create interactive community standards of high and higher education. Poor instructors, they have not only to be able to use digital tools in their professional activities, but they also have to design new educational models based on open educational resources. And in 2014, 15 and 16,
Today that MOOCs present new educational opportunities for face-to-face language classes. 1. They enable instructors to create an authentic educational environment to develop learner communicative and digital skills by providing online interaction and high-quality online educational resources from top-ranking universities and colleges. 2. MOOCs foster the general and the calibrated peer review and collaborative inquiry-based and project-based methods. 3. They enhance learner motivation through prompt and timely feedback from course participants. Modules. In the flipped model, students are enrolled in the MOOC chosen by the instructor. They study the material presented online. In class, they discuss, exchange ideas and opinions, share their progress, work in groups or individually, do the tasks tailored by their instructor using MOOC content to fit the objectives of his or her course.
We'll read this text with mistakes, yeah? So that's why just be very cautious. So the models which were mentioned in this very short video are flipped model or distributed flip, wrapping model, hybrid model of education, single MOOC adoption, and multiple MOOC adoption. All in all, 5 models, 5 theoretical models. So my case, the theoretical framework of my action research, you know that any kind of research, even the action research, needs some theoretical framework, yeah? So it includes 3 constituents, 3 cornerstones. Cornerstone number 1, MOOC theories, I was talking about already today. So, cornerstone number 2, the SAM heard about this particular model. The model described by Professor Penditura in 2011, nobody activism. They cannot be used as theoretical basis to create innovative pedagogical models. So, because we all learn today in digital age through connections, through networking. So teachers and different kind of teaching materials which we offer our students are not the only sources where they can derive their knowledge and develop their skills and competencies. So this is kind of learner is self-directed learning by different kinds of sources, as you can see. First of all, they were asked to enroll in the MOOC. The MOOC I have chosen is called Understanding Language, Learning and Teaching. The MOOC which was created by the University of Southampton and British Council. Language, Learning and Teaching. Why I have chosen it? So what were the criteria? So criteria number 1, it fits perfectly aims and objectives of my course. Criteria number 2, I liked it because before I offered it to my students, I completed it. I just participated in all the discussions, I did all the tasks, etc., etc. So only then the cycle which I call the enhancement cycle. So if you are interested, you might read mine. In this form, so you can see that one is that they were talking about is that it helped them develop their writing skills because they participated in all forum discussions and they were assessed through e-portfolio. Developed writing skills. Look, 80% of the students took part in all forums. They were very active. Svetlana Sierkina, also as volunteering. She was discussing with interests. So, in other words, it really helps to create an authentic, collaborative community. Or becoming a member of an authentic, collaborative online community, developing without any doubts online communication skills, writing, getting free online materials and links for your students. Complete the course yourself. You should do it because you...
2 cities, he wrote, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. Information technologies is based on the mathematical theory of communication, which was introduced back to 1948 by Claude Shannon. According to him, the information content of a message is inversely related to probability of occurrence. This is a little bit complicated, but it means actually very simple thing. The more likely a message is, the more unlikely a message is, the more information it contains. This simple formula led Shannon and his colleagues to focus more on structure than on content. So, as we've heard for the past several days, is based on the content rather than on the structures. Comparison with natural development of communicative competence. Let's see how it works. So we defined 4 stages of developing communicative competence, both in language 1 and in language 2, and tried to compare and to have the clear picture how we can use the mathematical theory segmentation, maybe conventionally, because processing auditory information, imitating and playing with it, he accumulates samples of structural modulation of the voice, which are associated with the emotional state of the speakers. These patterns reflect the melody and rhythmic structures of the native language. And as the child learns to decode the general meaning and its emotional coloring, these information structures form the basis of communicative development, situations and texts. And the following tasks can be offered, like correlate to speech. Visual aids and acting out or translation are used as semantic supports. So the third stage continues at the auditory motor level. At this stage, the child begins to imitate speech pattern. That's why it can be conventionally called vocalization. No, this one. Okay, we can give the following. Stage 2, a lot of things are done subconsciously. Exercises of the first 3 stages will improve the so-called sensory attentiveness of the learner, because the learner focuses on how the sensory information is processed. So sensory attention is very, very crucial at this stage. So in terms of stage 4, accumulation, processing, receipt and storage of significant data can be effective only in case of advanced formation of a specific sequence.
Our experience, and I hope that this will let you have some ideas of your own, which was logos, ethos, and pathos, which comes in very handy for the English language, actually. As we all know, logos, various combinations, what we begin with, what we proceed to, but the central one here in this scheme is self-awareness, and it's in the center. Which classroom activities help build emotional intelligence skills, which I have just shown. These are just some examples. If we think about of self-awareness, light rail, what else?
Streetcar.
Great, thank you. That was what I was waiting for. One person in the audience, everybody knows that. But well, I don't have many more. Anyway, so this is about being emotionally available, and very important, do not use blame and projection. Do not blame yourself. And final thing, not to leave it. What are the challenges of this emotional intelligence? The first, isn't this manipulation? Food for thought. Manipulation is not favorable in romantic relationship. Well, I think. But we are not in a romantic relationship with our students, even if we are. They are, after all, they are our students. We can have a romantic relationship when we all leave the classroom. But, I mean, manipulating, I think it's the poor word, like present perfect or present perfect continuous, that has got this negative connotation. Manipulating is good, it's about control and harnessing. But, still worse, we had IQ plus EQ is success. If we say success minus EQ, do we have IQ left? You want to understand Exupéry, that I love in French, but in English it sounds, well, worse, but okay. You become responsible forever for those you have tamed. And about our...
Thank you. What we need in the end, we need it to work. So
for his short greetings, because he has to go to educate children. To educate children, we need to educate teachers. And we need associations, of course, national associations and local associations. And I found these two interesting quotes in other sources, and I think they illustrate, I will read it for those who are at the back, there was a definite process by which one made people into friends, and it involves talking to them and listening to them for hours at a time. And the second one is by Carl Jung, and the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Beginning in 1994, there first was a visit of Prince Charles and then of Queen Elizabeth II. One of the things Prince Charles, they said, was that St. Petersburg is a tricky thing because it's very easy to fall in love with it and very difficult to leave it. Allegedly, that's what he said. At the beginning of the 90s, another fact, there were 26 non-state budgeted higher institutions and 44 state budgeted in St. Petersburg. And you know the mission, because it's the same as NATE's mission. We support teachers, we try to link them and develop them. Of course it is the same. But I would like to pay tribute to our presidents, not only me, but all those people who are mentioned here are our presidents. Unfortunately, Olga Bradovich died previous year, but Irina Pavlovska was the first, and she's still working at the St. Petersburg State University. Elvira Michinskaya, same situation, she works in the universities of St. Petersburg and organizations in St. Petersburg that we have ever been in touch with, did conferences for.
Our reactions to the outer world and to the inner world are so different too. And language is reflecting all this, and at the same time molding all this. It molds not only our reactions, but also it molds us. And we are mistaken when we think that we are the masters of language. Language is much more the master of us, because we are produced by our mother tongues. And our mother tongues impose on us the vision of the world, and we are sort of slaves of this vision. We don't have our own ideas. Our ideas have been brought to us by our language. But Russia is different from anything, from any other country or any other culture. Well, actually, Twitch's quotation can be used in describing any nation. No nation using a different language can be understood alone, and you have only to believe in it, because their vision is so strange. Their vision of the world reflected and molded by the language is so very different. But Russia is different. Why? You know, this idea occurred to me when I was explaining isolated country. Normal, isolated countries develop quite the opposite attitude to everything foreign. Insular countries, those that are islands, like the most classical examples, of course, are Britain, British Isles, and Japan. Both are places and to agent for refugees. So they reject us. They don't like us. They see something is wrong with us. You see? There was German too, and only those Russian savages speak some strange language of their own. But at the court, everybody spoke German too. I'm not, of course, speaking about the 19th century, because we know the French language out in German. But don't forget that, as I said already, all the spouses of all monarchs, they came from Europe. The college where I had an accommodation from Europe, you see it. So the conference will be in July. And sympathy. А что касается алкоголя, то еще есть очень хороший пример из Combinatory Dictionary, где Боб Уилсон иллюстрирует таким образом. He lost his inhibitions after a few drinks. На слово inhibitions такой есть примерчик. И еще, конечно, я вспомнила уроки французского Василия Шукшина. Совершенно гениальный автор и гениальный рассказ, где мальчика вернули к жизни, за что учительница очень сильно поплатилась. Но вот это вот очень долго.
Well, this is something which is considered to be a huge problem, not only in Russia but elsewhere, and we can guess it's because mainly we have, all these gadgets which students are so much used.
Nice did just now as a pre-event for your coming 15.
And it was the place where we gathered for just getting to know one another. And so we talked a little bit about getting students to talk to one another first, get their story down so that they don't have to lead into now the reason that I'm here now. We're all of us who are speaking today are here for different reasons.
Would say. And of course, if you say the name Willie Wordsworth, then of course it is synonymous with the daffodils. True? Yes. You know the daffodils?
Yeah.
Good. How do you feel when you see a daffodil?
No.
Great. Spring is here. Yes. When I go to England, of course, in spring they're there very early. And when I'm in St. Petersburg, and whenever I see a daffodil, do lift the spirits. Now, of course, in Russian you call a daffodil narcissus, which is the actual generic term, yes. They're also sometimes called jonquils. And in actual fact, I only learned recently that in Britain, daffodils are known as Lent, what is probably the most famous poem in the English language, certainly on my side of the pond, as they say. And so poets could not ask what to be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the automatic that floats on high or vales and hills. The daffodil is generously dimensioned to accommodate 4 adult passengers. 10,000 saw I at a glance, nodding their new automatically shaped heads in sprightly dance, beside the lake, beneath the trees, in 3 bright modern colours, red, blue and pigskin. The Daffodil Deluxe is equipped with a host of useful accessories, including windscreen wiper and washer with joint control. A daffodil doubles the enjoyment of touring at home or abroad in vagrant or intensive mood. Specification. Overall width, 1.44 metres, 57 inches. Overall height, 1.38 metres, 54.3 inches. Maximum speed, 105 kilometres per hour, 65 mph. Also cruising speed. Daffodil. Reliable. Economical. Daffodil. The bliss of solitude. Daffodil. The variomatic inward eye. Travelling by daffodil, you can relax and enjoy every mile of the journey. So, and if you will see down below, or I think maybe in yours, it says cut up of Wordsworth poem plus Dutch motor car.
For 1 minute, think of a time in the last week when you laughed unexpectedly. I don't know if this is the same case in Russia. We see a list. Find someone who knows who Ronald Reagan is. Having people volunteer. They have here something like the cat and the boy, right? Or A Good Place, which maybe you will go and watch now because it is quite funny. And any opportunity in the beginning of a class that we teach and throughout the course, I would recommend. The importance of this kind of thing for 7.2 months. And I live in Moscow. We need community. To say that, you know, Americans need community, but other places, we all need our community, and we belong to different communities. But in order to grow and to actually flourish, we do need to feel like we're not alone and we can feel comfortable participating. And I think the story about students and of developing related lifelong friendships. Your groups in your classes may be friends for a lifetime. Communities of practice. I'm so lucky. At HSE, I work at Vyshaya Shkola Ekonomiki, and I think that the attendance questions.
Something like bell work?
I'm sorry,
Bell work?
maybe I'm even going over on time. I'm not sure how it works. I have 3 minutes left. In the US, the emphasis on working together has been made clear that we need to have our students do more group projects. So I had them write a research project together. The great part about that is students hold one another accountable. I have to include activities that allow for them to talk about this. We learn so much more about them, and they learn about one another best. And then one more. This is a bit longer, and I apologize for reading the screen. I feel very strongly about the community cultivated in the peer instructor program. It's hard to describe, but essentially we're trained as tutors, learn as peers. Maybe from what you've said out here, or something that I've said, or something that you thought of while I was talking. But if you can write down one idea that you might use to create community in your class.
McDonald's, I am loving it. What is wrong in it grammatically? Love is so actually, I know every car has a focus. What do the words madam and race car have in common? Race car. What do they have in common?
Mercedes.
Sorry?
Mercedes.
No.
Mercedes is a car and
Speed. Madam and race car. Madam, race car. Yes, and that's close. We can read them vice versa. Madam and race car. Okay, that's